Hi everyone, it's VP of Marketing here, Morgan Morris, live at CO2Meter. Today we are so excited to have you all here in our webinar as we are launching our new CM1650 portable CO2 welding gas analyzer. This device was really designed with both gas distributors and welders in mind and has been highly anticipated across the field. So before we dive into our live demo and demonstration, I am going to give you a little bit of background on CO2Meter for those that don't know about us. To give some perspective, CO2Meter has been around since 2006. We've been manufacturing and designing gas detection solutions across 350 different devices across applications worldwide. We are also found in over 120 countries across the globe. So now that you've gained a little bit of background on us, I'm going to go ahead and hand the floor over to my cohort who is here with me today. This is Ben Santiago. He's our VP of Operations at CO2Meter, and Ben is also the product expert when it comes to the CM1650. So we are super pumped to be with you all today. So to learn more about the CM1650, Ben is here to give us a little bit of rundown. He's going to go over the design and creation, its core features and benefits, an actual demo and use case example so you can see right in the field how you would use the device. We'll talk about competitors, we'll talk about industry specifications, and at the end we'll also wrap up with a really fun Q&A. So without further ado, the floor is yours, Ben.
Thanks, Morgan, and thanks for a little more information on CO2Meter. Thank you for everyone for joining us today. We're super excited to be launching the CM1650. It's a portable welding gas analyzer. So over the course of this webinar, we want to discuss pretty much the main features of the device, its common use cases in the industry. We'll do a live demonstration. We actually had a cylinder of welding gas delivered to us earlier that we'll go ahead and analyze to show you how the device works. And then lastly, we'll end with a Q&A to go over any questions that might come up during this.
Sounds great, Ben. Well, let's get right into it. Let's talk about the industry backing. I think that's what everyone else would like to know also. How did we come up with the idea for the CM1650? What partners were involved?
Yeah, so the two main partners that helped us really roll out this product would be AWS and GATA. They're well known in the welding industry, obviously, and they really helped us establish the need and the specifications around this device. And we also worked really closely with Linde and Airgas to really hash out how this product would be used and what the customers, the end-use customers, would really be looking for. So super excited to be delivering some solutions to those welders in need.
Excellent. Well, I know everyone is here really to hone in on the device, and we're going to get into that. But before we get into it, let's talk about the features. What did we really come up with when designing this device?
Well, CO2Meter, anytime it goes into a development cycle for a new gas detection product, we think, how can we enhance what our customers are doing? And obviously, when you think of welding, you think of the gas. The two just go hand in hand very intimately. So we thought about how we could improve a welder's experience in whole. So we want to give an easy solution to our customers to analyze the gas that's being delivered to them before they start their weld. We all know that the gas that's used in that process, really can alter the characteristics of a weld. So adding that extra QC check before beginning your welding really can enhance our customers' experience.
Quality, quality, and quality. I think that was greatly said. So let's go ahead and get into the demo. But before we get into the demo, let's actually talk about what is included with the purchase of a CM1650. So we're going to actually show you here today what would come included with any CM1650 purchase.
Yeah, so when you buy the device, it's going to come in this great, really rugged carry case. So obviously welding is done in usually a little more of a harsh environment. So we want to make sure that the device stays protected in those environments and during transportation. So next then you will obviously see the device, which is housed in a rubber enclosure to also give a little more added protection during actual use. Next, it comes with that charging cable, which is a USB cable, so anywhere you have access to a USB port, you can recharge your device. We've included some extra filtration, a water trap, and some particle filters. That way you really protect your device. Anything that's flowing in your gas sample, make sure that it doesn't get sucked into those sensors within the device. And then lastly, we've included a flow regulator. The really main purpose of this is to make sure that you're not over pressurizing your device when you're connecting to a gas source. So always make sure that you're using that flow regulator prior to taking a sample. That way you're not over delivering pressure to your device and causing damage.
And last but not least, it does include a micro SD card and adapter, which is pertinent, and I know Ben will go after the data logging capabilities in time as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk about the actual menu settings as well, Ben. I know once you turn on the device, can you go over a little bit of the actual operation?
Yeah, so why don't we go through what the display actually looks like. So upon, and we'll see that on the display behind us, upon power up, we'll see a branded loading page and a loading bar. So what this is doing is allowing the device to warm up and warm up those internal sensors. After that, you will come to a blend selection page. So this will allow you to select what C concentration you're actually analyzing, right? So on this page, you'll be able to pick through some really common welding blends that are used in the industry. In our live demo, we'll actually be using a C15 today. So after you make your blend selection, it'll bring you to a main page, a main display page, which is going to give your actual live reading. It's going to here give an active, inactive status. So the device actually goes active when you show it gas from your sampling source, which will actually activate the data logging as well. Then you'll see that CO2 reading, and then you'll notice a big red stop or a big green go. If you're in spec or out of spec, will determine that message. And then lastly, in that bottom corner, you'll actually see the C concentration that you selected in the beginning process. If you want to make some changes to your device in operation, or you want to select a different blend, you can enter the menu, right? And from here you can update your date and time. You can change your data logging interval. So let's say you want more or less data while you're sampling, you can change that number. You can make some adjustments to the backlight and power saving mode. That way, you know, may make it a little bit easier to read if you're in a darker setting, or you want to, you know, preserve your battery for a little bit longer battery life, things like that. Then you can go ahead and do your blend selection, pick a different CO2 blend. One thing to point out here there are two separate options to pick from when you're talking about your blend selection. You have your standard options, which are those most common cases, you know, your C15s, your 25s, the things that are really used commonly in the industry. Now, if you're using something a little more exotic, you can go to that custom blend selection, which will allow you to select anywhere in that 0 to 100% range. So we are allowing our users to measure across that entire 0 to 100% CO2 range, but we did try to weed out some of those things that aren't normally used, right? And then lastly, you can see there's a sensor calibration and a 2-point calibration. And we'll go over that a little bit later, but the device does feature two calibration features.
Excellent. I think that definitely gives some insight to a lot of the custom settings that are here with the device as well. I know I'm sure a lot of our viewers today are also wondering in terms of operation, and you'll get into that live demo, from start to finish, how long does it typically take to verify gas blends with this device?
Yeah, so from unboxing your device, connecting to your sampling source, and getting to that green stop or green go or red stop, it should take less than 3 minutes. So wow. Super easy to use, really quick turnaround so that you can get to welding right away.
We love it. Let's get into that live demo then, guys, shall we? Let's go ahead and see how this device operates, real use case scenario for any welder or gas distributor in the field. So Ben is going to go ahead and show us the operation.
So earlier we had a welding gas tank delivered from a local supplier. This happens to be C15, so it is a 15% CO2, 85% argon mix. So Attached to the tank, you can see here is just a common welding regulator. And then what I just attached to it was the included flow regulator, which comes in that box contents that we talked about earlier. So nothing special needed. It's, anything that a welder has at hand should allow them to go ahead and take a sample right away. So once that's connected, turn on your gas, let it flow. And then we're going to take our device, turn it on. It'll run through that initialization period, warming up those sensors. And once that's complete, we'll use that blend selection page to select C15. And then we will connect our gas sample. And from there, we just let the device do what it does best and analyze that gas blend. Once we get really close to that C15 range, the reading will start to stabilize. And once we hit that actual plus or minus 10% spec, you'll see here the countdown will begin from 60 seconds. And if the gas remains within spec for that minute, you'll go ahead and get that green go. You'll know that you're good. Your gas is within spec and you're good to weld.
Excellent. I think that was a great demo, Ben. Definitely shows the operation of the device and really how to get that reading and verify your gas blends in the field. I know that Ben had touched base a little bit on custom blend options earlier. He displayed a little bit on the different settings that can be used. So I know on default, Ben, this comes with the specific standards across the board. What are those default configurations for the gas?
Yeah, so the default configuration, the target that you're trying to hit is that plus or minus 10% that we talked about earlier. So we'll get into kind of what that spec means later, but as far as the device is pre-configured, there's some data logging functions that you can change for that interval feature. That way you're collecting more or less data depending on what you're looking for. The SD card that's included is pretty large. It would take quite a bit of time and data to fill up, so that's not an issue at all. Then you can change your backlighting features, things like that, to help preserve your battery life if that's something that you're looking for. And then lastly, on that menu page and configuration page, you'll see some calibration features
as well. Great. So a lot of custom configurations there. I know that Ben also talked a little bit about data logging. He's mentioned the SD card. This is extremely pertinent for this device in being quality assurance and control. Can you talk to us a little bit more about the data logging capabilities?
Yeah, so obviously we're here with this device to check, are we within spec and are we good to weld? So it being put in line in that quality control aspect, we want to save that data, right? So we have it for our internal records. And also, if the gas being delivered isn't within spec, we want to be able to deliver that data to our gas supplier. So as long as gas is present and being shown to the device, the device will recognize it through pressure. It will become active, and it displays that on the screen. And the data logging will begin. So as long as gas is running through the device, it's constantly reading that data and saving it to an internal SD card. If you need to remove that data, simply remove the SD card from the side of the device, insert it into your PC, and you can take that data and analyze it and send it off to where you need to.
Excellent. I think this feature is also incredibly important for those that do have inspectors or auditors at time that do need this information. You're able to quickly show them, hey, here it is, I got it, we're in control. And then that data also can be formatted in both CSV and Excel format. So you can actually see those values in real time just in a standard Excel or CSV. So I think definitely a great feature of this device as well. You've covered a lot of the custom configurable settings. I know it's ranges 0 to 100%. That's definitely a great advantage for welders. What else? Is there anything that we're missing that this device can do?
Yeah, so one of my favorite features of the device, really keeping those welders in mind, is keeping it really easy to use, right? The last thing that we're thinking about if we're going into a weld is actually like, what is my gas concentration? So we wanted to make this as minimal of an operation as possible. So we used large indicators on the display to give that green go or red stop. You know your gas is within spec, out of spec. So super easy to use, and then big, large indicators to say go ahead and weld or no, stop, you're not within spec.
Excellent. Ease of use is definitely one of the top on my list when it comes to product features. So I think that that is another great capability, definitely almost like a plug and play, very easy to use while in the field as Ben has showed. But what about competition? I know that that's something that I myself as an end user want to look at. You know, what else is out there in devices like these? Can you touch base on competition?
Yeah, so this device definitely is filling a large hole in the market. There isn't really anything that competes with the 1650 currently in the US market. Something that is meeting that AWS standard and measuring from 0 to 100% CO2, hitting the entire welding gas, CO2 blend welding gas measurement range is something that's really new on the market in the US.
So to reiterate, no other device can meet AWS standards currently right now.
Currently, what's out there, nothing does what this device does.
Incredible. All right, well, thank you for that insight as well, Ben. Now let's talk about maintenance. That's another one that I'm sure is on everyone's mind. You have this great device. We've looked at a lot of its features, but what do I have to do as a user to really upkeep this thing and make sure that its performance is above par?
Yeah, so I mean, any gas detection or measuring device requires a little bit of maintenance, right? The big thing that we think about is calibration. So the device does come to the customers calibrated, factory calibrated with a certificate. It guarantees that calibration for a year.
Okay.
So we do suggest annual calibration, right? And with that, because the device features 4 sensors internally, the calibration can be a little tricky. So we suggest sending that back to CO2Meter. We'll do that calibration and get it back to you as quickly as possible, pretty timely manner. And yeah, definitely just annually. If for some reason you would like to do that calibration in the field, that's not an issue at all. Obviously, as we showed earlier in the menu, you can access those calibration features. So not a problem at all if the customer wanted to calibrate and do that maintenance in the field. We just suggest making sure that you follow that calibration procedure to a T. Make sure that you are getting accurate calibration gas from your local suppliers. And then if you have any questions with that, make sure that you contact CO2Meter and a technician will gladly walk you through that process.
Excellent. So just to reiterate there as well, annual calibration typically recommended with a device, but CO2Meter can provide both of those calibration methods in-house?
Yeah, in-house we absolutely will calibrate the entire device, all 4 sensors in one swoop.
Good to go. All right, so I think now that you've seen this device in action, you understand the main benefits of its use. We've kind of given you a glimpse at how easy it is to use, what a real use case scenario looks like. We're going to go ahead and open this next section to the Q&A. Since our demo has begun and since we've been launching this product, we've gained a tremendous amount of questions from users and welders out there in the field who have a lot of questions in mind that we can definitely answer here today. So I'm sure you guys are all looking forward to that. Just to give you a reminder, if there is any questions that don't go answered today, doesn't mean that we won't answer them. Definitely feel free to reach out to us. You can always reach us at sales@CO2Meter. We'll be glad to answer any of those questions that you have around the device or around just industry as well. So let's go ahead and get into that Q&A. So the first question that we have here today states, what are the specific AWS specs that your device is trying to meet? Why is the AWS standard important in the field?
Yeah, so that is a pretty good question. A good place to start with that is aws.org. They list out just a large variety of information regarding welding and welding gas. So that's a great place to check out. The spec that we're specifically quoting states that your welding gas that's delivered and you used in the welding process should be plus or minus 10% of the minor component. So to use this cylinder that's in front of me as an example, that would be a C15 blend, the minor component being the carbon dioxide. So you want to be plus or minus 10% of that 15% mark. So plus or minus 1.5% on either side means you're in spec. If you're out of spec, then that gas is no good. Do not continue to weld.
Noted. Thank you. I think that was a great question. It definitely gives a great overview of the device and really why it needs to meet the AWS standards and what you're looking for in the field. So again, aws.org, a great resource for those standards and codes and characteristics that you're looking to comply with. So In addition, let's go ahead and move to the next question. Question 2 is stating, if I don't want to send the device back for calibration, can I do this on my own? I know that Ben did mention this a little bit earlier. We've talked about product maintenance, but can you just reiterate a little bit more on the calibration?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are two forms of calibration that can be completed on the device. One is a sensor calibration, so you can go in and calibrate each of the 4 sensors individually. The other method is a 2-point calibration using 2 points, which is a device calibration. Both can be completed in the field by the user. That's not an issue at all. Just making sure that you secure a true calibration gas mixture. Someone like Lindy would be a great source to get a certified calibration gas to do that. The other part of that, making sure that you're doing that calibration correctly, is making sure that you follow the procedure that we've published to a T. That way your device is performing optimally. If there were any questions that came along the way while you're calibrating, make sure that you contact us. We do have live support, able to get on the phone with you and make sure that you're doing that calibration correctly.
Absolutely. Also, for another reference point, we will have a manual included with each device. There will be a troubleshooting guide and a specific section for calibration that you can always reference, which I think is super helpful as well. So in addition, moving along, let's go to our next question. Can this device also measure for trace oxygen in the gas? So I know we've touched base on CO2. Can you give our viewers some insight on oxygen?
Yeah, so obviously oxygen is a large concern when you're welding, right? And it greatly affects the weld and your process. So while the CM1650, the version here sitting in front of me, does not offer oxygen measurement, we are currently in the development stages of bringing on version 2. So oxygen measurement will bring in the next version. That'll be coming out shortly in a few months. So we'll be offering 2 devices, 2 versions. The 1650, the original version, will be only for CO2, of course measuring that 0 to 100% CO2 range. And then the second version will offer measurement of CO2 and oxygen, so you can measure those trace oxygen levels.
Excellent. So stay tuned, those that are looking for oxygen. We will have that here coming for you. All right, so let's talk about one of the key features of this device. I think this is a great question. We have a question asking, what do I do if the device tells me my gas is out of spec?
All right, so
super helpful.
Yeah, and the point of this device is to verify the gas that's in front of you. So if you get that red stop, what do I do? So first step, I would suggest turning off the device, restarting it, allowing those sensors to reinitialize, and take your measurement again. The reason I say this is obviously user error is sometimes a possibility. You want to make sure that you're 100% right, that the gas is not within spec. So if you go through your process of measuring and then you're still getting that red stop, at that point, download your data logs, contact your welding gas supplier and say, listen, the gas that was just delivered to me is out of spec. Let's look at that certificate. I possibly need some new gas delivered.
Perfect. Thank you for those pointers, Ben. All right, so moving right along, we have the next question here that states, I feel like my team would lose or break a portable welding device. Oh no. Do you have anything that can bolt to a wall? I think good question, and I think we have an answer for you on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So 2 points to that. Number one being that the 1650 is an extremely durable device, right? Comes with a great carry case. It has a rugged shell around it to make sure that it's protected while you're using it. So don't fret, it's kind of hard to break it. If you really don't want that portable version and you want something that's just mounted in place, check out our website and type in the CM650. It was the original welding device that we launched. It is a device that's fixed in place that analyzes 2 sources of CO2 welding gas at a time. So that's a great option for you if you're looking for something that's to be fixed in place.
Perfect. And that targets what gas ranges?
So the 650 comes configured to be reading C15 and C25.
Okay.
But if you were looking for that fixed mounted version and wanted to be measuring a different concentration, we'd be glad to configure that for you.
Awesome. So custom configurations are available too. To answer that question, yes, we do have fixed options and they are custom configurable. So I think that that is great. So let's move along to the next. I know that this one also mentions oxygen. This states, can the device measure any residual oxygen in my mix? What do you say about that, Ben?
Great. So lots of oxygen questions. That's great. So again, the 1650 as it sits now does not measure oxygen, but coming up shortly in the coming year, we will be launching version 2 to cover those oxygen needs. Now, in the meantime, if you're right now looking for an oxygen solution, again, check out our website. We have other welding products available. Type in the TS300. It is the Tech Pen Weld, and it is our oxygen monitor that's currently on the website. So if you really do need to check out those low oxygen levels in your welding process, check out that product, and you should be good to go.
Thank you. Perfect. All right, so aside from just oxygen solutions, this question is talking about the device itself. So more back on CO2. This device seems great for testing multiple sources. I don't need it to be portable, just on site. Do you have anything like that? I think we've touched base on the CM650. Can you go over the device a little bit more for those that are looking for something fixed on site?
Yeah, so again, the 650 that we mentioned earlier, that's that wall-mounted fixed version. That would be great for that. You can put it in line of your application, so it's just constantly analyzing the gas that you're using. This device obviously can be used on site, measuring anywhere in that range of 0 to 100%. It's great for spot checking along your production floor, things like that. So I would say definitely give both models a check before you make your selection.
For the CM652, it does include data logging capabilities as well, correct?
Absolutely. Being that these are quality control devices, we make sure that all of those data points get saved during your measurement.
Excellent. So 2 choices depending on what you're looking to go for there in your environment or use case. So in addition, let's take it to the next question. This is around battery, which is always a fun one. So this question is asking, how long can I run this on one battery charge? What batteries does it take? How long will this thing perform, Ben?
So out of the box, it comes with 3 rechargeable batteries already installed. If for some reason those batteries were damaged, just go to our website. We do sell replacements. But we definitely target a long battery life with this device because, hey, you know, the last thing you want is when you're out there working, checking gas, doing things like that, it just dies. Now you need to go find a USB port. So one charge should give you about 24 hours of working battery life.
Excellent. So full day's work with this device. That is very good to know.
Absolutely.
I learned something as well here during this Q&A, which is great. So our next question that's coming in, let's see what we have here. It is stating about pricing. So they're asking, if I want to resell this to customers, do you offer wholesale pricing? I think that's another great question.
Yeah, definitely. So if you're, distributing products and you're trying to look for some welding solutions for your customers, CO2Meter definitely works with our distributors to offer wholesale pricing. So if you have any questions regarding that, contact sales@co2meter.com and they'll be glad to help you out with that.
Excellent. Perfect. All right, so we are coming up to our wrap up here just with timing. We are on our last question, unfortunately, for this fun segment. However, this question is more so on international options. So this question is stating, do you offer special pricing to international customers and international shipping?
Yeah, so CO2Meter, obviously a global partner offering gas detection solutions across the globe. We obviously want to make sure that we are offering our products to everyone, so we do design with international needs in mind as well, and we do work with our international distributors to match that pricing. So if you really want to request those wholesale prices or distributor prices, definitely just contact sales@CO2Meter and they'll be glad to give you some more information on that as well.
Awesome. For those 2 that are international that do want a little bit more insight, just want to purchase that device outright, you can definitely find that information on the CO2meter.com website. If you go to the checkout page, you will see international options. That includes any fees, duties, taxes. They're very easily accessible for you, so you can definitely check out that page as well as a helpful guide. So that does conclude our Q&A and our webinar. So we did want to let everyone know a huge thank you. I thought those were some really great questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think?
Lots of insight from our listeners.
And lots of things that I learned as well in this webinar. So we appreciate you all. Huge appreciation to Ben. So thank you, Ben, for taking time out of his day to show everyone the CM1650 in action. I hope you all enjoyed this just as much as we did. For those of you that came in late or you're looking for more information or questions, we didn't answer all of your questions here today, definitely feel free to reach out to us again. You can always find a helpful resource on our website, or feel free to reach out to us directly at sales@co2meter.com or visit our website at www.co2meter.com. Also, just as a reminder, this webinar is pre-recorded, which is awesome, so you can go ahead and rewind, get another glimpse of that fun piece that you saw in this webinar here today. It will be on our YouTube channel, so feel free to chime in and find our YouTube channel at CO2Meter. Feel free to also subscribe, give this video a huge thumbs up if you had just a great time like we did here today. And feel free to always stay updated. Feel free to subscribe to our monthly newsletter, check out our website, always stay up to date on all things gas detection, industrial, and welding. So thank you all again, and until next time.